Well, welcome to this episode of ISV Talks. I'm Carol Livingston, the owner of Dynamics Connections and your host of ISV Talks. And on this episode, I'm excited to have two people from USTPay, Wade Tatsuka and Kate Coffee Bacon. Welcome.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, thank you, Carol, and thank you for your leadership in the community and for doing things like this.
Of course, I really have fun talking with people. So, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been with UST Pay.
Sure, I'll start. Wade Tetsuka. I started the company in 2009, so it's been 15 years now. Started as a payments processing company. It hasn't been my background, but I started my career as a CPA, similar company to Carol, actually, Ernst& Young, but got tired of being a CPA. I went into the medical device industry and moved around a lot and decided when our son was born that that was not the industry to be in. And so I fell into the payments industry through somebody that I knew from the college I graduated from, the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania. So from the Alumni Association, somebody there was had her own payments company. She got me into the payments industry, and later I started US transactions. One of our first clients, for sure, our largest initial client was a government contractor in the state of Virginia that was on Microsoft Nav. So from the very beginning, we were involved in the Microsoft space.
Okay, interesting. I did not know that. And yes, we're both recovering CPAs, right?
Recovering CPAs, yes.
Yeah. So, Kate, introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been with UST Pay.
Yeah, so I am Kate Coffee Bacon. I am VP of Marketing and Events for US Transactions Corporation. I started about 2.5 years ago. Previously, I worked with a marketing agency where I oversaw all of our digital marketing strategy for our clients and specifically branding, creating strong brands. So that was my history. I started with Wade about 2.5 years ago, right before we came onto the scene with USTPay. So it has been such a fun journey. I'm getting to where we are right now.
All right. Yeah, I feel like I see both of you at all the events. You guys are everywhere on LinkedIn, so you're doing a good job getting that brand out there. So tell us the basic description, Wade, of kind of what are your products, what do you have for the Dynamics ERPs, and kind of what are your unique features or value?
Sure. So our main product as an ISV solution is called UST Pay. The product is a credit card and ACH payment solution integrated into Business Central. What makes it different from anything else? I mean, I like to say we make the Microsoft Dynamics platform an open and modern solution for credit card processing and ACH. And what that basically means is, in our case, any user, any partner developer that uses our product on AppSource, UST Pay, with that one integration, they are automatically connected into 120 different payment gateways and processors.
Wow.
So anything from, like, you name it, Authorize.net, Paytrace, PayPal, CyberSource, Card Connect, BluePay, Apple Pay, Google Pay. I mean, I can't even name all 120, but at the end of the day, you have like the freedom to choose whether you're working on the developer partner side, implementing a solution, or whether you're the end customer using Business Central. You have the freedom to choose whatever you want. And that's really unique, but that's really the philosophy of Microsoft themselves. They want their customers to have a choice and an open modern platform to work with. This is what makes Microsoft Dynamics the best product in the market to work with.
Awesome. So I know you also have some other side activities or interests. Like I know you have an education branch and
I'm going to let Kate talk about our UST education and offering. And so I'll let Kate describe that a little bit more.
Sure. So that is UST Education, and we offer over 200 webinars a year. Those webinars are eligible for CPE and CAE credits. They are no charge to attend, and they are led by really dynamic, powerful thought leaders in the space. We are fortunate in that they sort of seek us out now, and so we get to have those conversations and start talking about. I love to work with a speaker to figure out what they're going to talk about, their session, their title, course description, learning objectives, all of that. It's so much fun, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to so many people in the community because this is an offering that we have. So we have, like I said, over 200 webinars a year. That's, over 100 speakers a year that are bringing thought leadership to the community. It's really fun. It's really fun. If you're curious about anything, I'm sure we're teaching on it.
Yeah. Are these like financial topics? Are they, leadership topics, kind of economic
They
topics?
are, yes, Carol, yes,
Yeah.
all of the above. The answer is
Yes.
yes. So it can be organization, communication, financial, ethics, marketing, you name it,
Leadership, business strategy.
Yep.
Nice. So not just like a technical kind of, like, oh, here's a class on how to do bank reconciliations. So
That's there too.
That's, yeah. We've had a
yeah.
Microsoft MVP talk about bank reconciliations.
Did you?
And
Okay.
and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, that was one of the most highly attended webinars. I mean,
Still is
yeah,
one of the most
like
highly attended.
over 60 or 70 people. I don't know. I can't remember the number.
Wow.
And
So-
all of our webinars are recorded and they live on our media library. So you can check them out even after the webinar is over. They're housed. We have hundreds of hours of educational content there.
Nice. I
Yes.
love that.
So our tagline for UST education is called a conference every week. A conference every week, because we believe that you shouldn't have to, like, if you need continuing education as a professional, whether you're an executive, you're a manager level, you're a staff level, and particularly staff level people, the company can't afford to send all their staff to a Microsoft conference or any other conference, clear across the country, pay for the hotel, pay for the airfare and food so they can get their professional development or continuing education. So this was our solution to that. And it's also the philosophy that we follow, wanting to be integrated with the community that we work with.
Kind of going back to the products that you work with. So what ERPs, what other than Dynamics are you compatible with?
Well, that's another area where we differ, Carol. As a payment solution, we have a lot of competitors out there. I mean, Kate likes to say, if you go to one of the Microsoft conferences and you throw a stone, in any direction, you're going to hit a payments company, whether it's accounts payable or accounts receivable payments, and customer collections. We're on the receivable side. One of the things that makes us very different is that the other payment companies, they try to be in every possible ERP solution as possible because they've built a solution that really is universal in many ways. So they try to integrate, or they try to be in every possible ERP solution out there, whether it's Oracle, NetSuite, SAP, Acumatica, Sage Intacct. We chose only to be in the Microsoft Dynamics space because we believe, and we see this every single day when we're interacting with customers, when we're interacting with the Microsoft partner community, is that they want to see that we are experts, not just in payments, but that we are experts in the underlying ERP solution itself. So in this case, Business Central. And so when we're on a requirements call, when we're doing demos, when we're doing follow-up conversations with the client, with the partner, they very clearly see that we have, through our software engineers, an equal level of expertise in Business Central that the partner does. And we're working together with the partner at the same level. And that's very, very important because the end user, they want to do their work in Business Central. They're not doing their work outside of Business Central. They want everything done within Business Central. And this is how you have to show it to them.
Is there any particular industries that you specialize in or work with?
So it's pretty much all of the industries that are a good fit for the Business Central solution. So in our case, we have a lot of government contractors, being that the company started here in the Washington, D.C. area. So there's a lot of government contractors that use Business Central, and one of their partners, Extivia, has a great extension for government contracting accounting to make that DCAA compliant for government contractors. But we have a lot of government contractors as clients. We have food wholesale and manufacturing, product, just general B2B distribution, product distribution, companies, professional services, staffing.
Okay. So just kind of changing gears a little bit. So what operational challenges are you seeing with partners are trying to solve for their clients or just customers that are trying to solve their issues?
Well, a couple things come to mind. I alluded to it earlier. I mean, the partner and the customer wants to work with somebody that really understands the underlying ERP solution very
Sure.
well. And so if they have a question about credit card processing, about an ACH payment that a customer is trying to make, to pay an invoice, these are vital transactions. It's the lifeblood of an organization, right? So if they come to you with the question, we need to be able to answer that question because maybe the issue could be with the processor, the credit card processor. The issue could
Right.
be with the integration between Business Central and the
Yeah,
payment gateway. The problem could be all
so true.
within Business Central itself, but we have to be able to uncover that without having to like point
Yeah.
fingers and say, well, it's not our problem. You got to
It's
call,
usually one of those,
somebody.
right? Like, no, that's the payment gateway. No, that's the software. Yeah.
Exactly right. So that happens very frequently in our industry that there's a lot of finger pointing. So we solve that by giving the partner and the customer a single point of contact. I mean,
Great.
you have a question
Absolutely.
about something, you call Adil or you call Michaela. Adil would be on our software engineering side. Michaela would be on our customer service side on the credit card processing piece. But they have access to all the right people that they need in order to get the answers that they need, and they don't need to have to like just put in a ticket and wait a week to get an answer back. I mean, if they
Right.
need to have a phone call, if they need to get on a Teams or a Zoom call with the client
Yeah.
to get an answer or to iron something out, and this happens a lot. And oftentimes we have to initiate the call even to get people on the same page, but that's what we'll do. The other thing I wanted to mention about the challenges from partners and customers is that they're often forced to use one solution provider. Pick a
Hmm.
payments solution out of AppSource, they have to use them as a processor. Well, what if the customer already has a merchant account, already has an account set up for credit card processing? They want to keep that account. They don't want to have to switch just because they're migrating from QuickBooks to Business Central or Sage to Business Central or wherever else to Business Central, right?
Yeah.
So this is how we solve it with our freedom of choice, 120 payment gateways. And so
That's a really good point. So they can keep their gateway if they have a gateway they've already
that's right.
working with, and
They
that's
can keep,
great.
they can keep
Yeah.
their gateway and their existing, what we call merchant account, right? Their
Right.
processing account. They can keep that and just use our
Yeah.
solution as a
Huge.
SaaS integration solution.
Yeah. And they can have more than one, right? Like maybe they have different companies and things like that too, right?
That's right.
So,
We have a lot of clients that they have an operational entity in Canada. They have 2 different or 3 different operational entities in the United States. Each of them have their own bank accounts, which means they have to have their own separate credit card processing or merchant account. So we can have all of those different accounts just layered right in, one on top of the other. And
nice.
some of them could be different gateways, but it's all through the USTPay app. So it's very, very unique in that sense.
There's another question I had about just, how are you successful being kind of a smaller organization versus kind of these big global payment processors, which seem like they're all getting bigger by acquisition, right? But you guys are still kind of that small, nimble organization. So how do you find
Yes.
that you're able to be successful?
Yeah, so what I think Wade's already kind of answered that a little bit, and that we have a very focused business plan. We are experts in the BC space and payments in the BC space. So that works to our benefit because we have a laser focus on what we do and what we do well. Being small means that we can pivot very quickly. If changes need to be made, you're very flexible to move faster, to make those changes, to act on decisions, business strategy, whatever that may be.
Just one word on our ability to like, as a small company, like go up against larger companies and have the level of success that we've had in such a short period of time. And it comes down to one word, and it's in many strategy books. It's speed. So because we're
Mhm.
fast, we're small, and we can be faster than any larger corporation. And we see that every day.
Wade and I work very closely together. You said it, Carol, like you see us everywhere. We're at every conference we can be at. And again, exclusively Business Central. That is our only focus, and that is to our benefit.
Yeah, that's huge because it's growing. And it's nice that you guys are experts, right, with the software and that whole ecosystem. So,
I was
And
joking that I'm going to make some little like sheriff badges, stars that say
oh,
payment experts in the BC space and start handing those out because
yeah.
that's our 120 payment gateways and being payment experts in Microsoft Business Central. Those are our biggest two
Mhm.
differentiators. That's what we're bringing.
Yeah, that's
talk,
huge.
I mean, talking about visibility, I mean, Kate will go to a lot of creative avenues to try to get us visible. Like at the last Microsoft conference, she was going to walk around with a helium balloon,
I had a
and,
huge
and they turned her
star
away at
gold
the
balloon
at the entrance.
so that people could easily find us. It was a massive gold star helium balloon, and
Yeah.
undoubtedly, helium's not allowed in a conference center, so they took it right when I walked in the door. But yeah,
That would have been a great idea. So, Wade, maybe I know you talked about some kind of scenarios, right, where customers have used our solutions. Can you kind of go a little bit further and tell us a little bit more about some customers that have been successful with the product and why?
Sure. One example that comes to mind, auto parts manufacturer and wholesaler operations, big operations in Canada, in the US, 5 different legal entities across the 2 geographies. So they needed like credit card processing in Canadian dollars, credit card processing in US dollars, again with different legal entities. So we're able to have these 5 different accounts set up just within our one app, and they were able to bring their own processor that they already wanted to bring. So we were
Sure.
just doing the SaaS solution for them. And I should add that they also wanted to be on a nav version. So we worked with Igunia, one of the Microsoft partners, on this client. Another example I really like is one of our government contractor clients. They run a base supply store on Norfolk Naval Base, and they had to do card present transactions because there are purchases that are made by the military, in person, and they've got to swipe the card or read the card chip reader. They've got to handle government purchasing cards, which is also a unique animal. I mean, it's Visa or MasterCard, but government purchasing cards are there's a special way to handle them so that you get a lower rate. So we're able to do that. These are large dollar transactions, so there's a lot of times high risk, or it could be viewed by the processor as high risk. We have to proactively manage that situation so that the client gets their
Sure.
money on time. And actually, because that store that works or employs some visually impaired folks, we had to work with some software that
Oh, gosh.
does, visually impaired, like
Hmm.
gives accessibility to people that are visually impaired. So we worked with a well-known ISV, Insight Works, on that, as well as Stivia, and which I mentioned earlier, they have the government contracting extension, and Archer Point. So we worked with several of the Microsoft partners on that.
It takes a village, it sounds like.
Yes, yes. So I mean, these are not like that straightforward or easy situations to work with. And that goes back to what I said. You have to really have an expertise in Business Central, in Microsoft Dynamics, just as much as you do.
You kind of said something that made me think, I don't think we've talked about this before, but you have the option of doing, sounds like level 2, level 3 transactions, which
You are
means you
so
can
smart,
include more
Carol.
detail, right? Like for
Right.
government, you mentioned government
Yes.
always requires
Yeah.
more detail, line item detail. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, I think you said it exactly. So level 2 and level 3 data, and level 3 data is the most important when you're dealing with these government purchasing cards in this
Sure.
case, or Fortune 500 companies. They would often use purchasing cards to when they make
Oh,
purchases. So level 3 data is basically taking every line item that's on a sales order or an invoice and sending that data over to the payment gateway so that the payment gateway can then send it over to Visa and MasterCard. And when you do that, when you send all this extra like payload of data, which is a lot of data, many
yeah.
people would think, well, that must then make the transaction cost more. Well, actually, it makes the transaction cost less because
Right?
all of the extra data that's being sent is an indicator that it's a less risky transaction. And
Right.
so Visa and MasterCard have set a certain rate pricing for those type of level 3 transactions. So where you're sending line item
Yeah.
detail of the invoice, they set a lower rate for those. So the client pays a lower percentage rate for those transactions, much lower, 1%, almost 1% lower.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Can anyone get those rates and like take advantage of that, being able to get the lower transaction fees?
Yeah, so any like Business Central user or client, enterprise, they could get that as long as their customers are paying them with a purchasing card or a corporate card.
Okay.
So, and this is where
Okay.
B2B comes in. When you go to a retail
Right.
store, people are not buying things with purchasing cards there. They shouldn't be, you know, right?
They might, but they
They
shouldn't
might,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
I wanted to
okay.
just mention one other example too. Carol, we work with a company that is in the food manufacturing and distribution. Same situation, Canada, the US. So they needed to have Canadian dollars in Canada, obviously. They wanted to keep their processor in Canada. So for us, no problem. In the US, we put them on another solution, PayTrace, for some of the advantages that it offered to them, one of which was the level 3 data and some other automation features. But also we worked with Commerce Build, who is doing their e-commerce site so that the payment
Yay.
information is integrated back into Business Central properly, and with another partner in Innovia we work with on that as well. So we love working with all the different partners.
Well, kind of looking in the future, what are some new things, Wayne, that USTPay is looking to introduce to add value, help people move
Yeah.
on their journey to the cloud if they're on-prem or want to move to Business Central?
So there's a couple of things that we're going to start to push, and we're going to be making some announcements on this in the next 2 or 3 months. One is ACH solution. We've got a great ACH solution. So again, this is collecting payments from your customers with ACH. So the cost of credit card transactions is actually very high. I mean, when you start
Mhm.
adding up all the dollars, it gets to be a lot of money. It gets to be one of the most significant expense line items on the income statement of any of these enterprises that are using Business Central. And so we get the pushback all the time. And I mean, I understand it. And so ACH is going to be a solution that we're going to start to push. It's going to cannibalize the credit card processing segment, but it's what the customer wants, the Business Central end user, in order to manage
Sure.
their P&L, in order to manage their cost. And what it's also going to do, Carol, it's going to help them with automation, because today, let's say on average, about 20% of collections in a B2B business is credit card. 20% is around the median. The other 80% is checks. So they're still collecting checks from customers,
Writing
like
checks,
manual
yeah.
checks, right?
Mhm.
And ACH payments. Okay, but when manual checks, it's obvious that it's very manual, right? I mean, I don't need to
Right.
describe how manual checks are to
There's
receive.
lots of room for error.
Yes,
Right.
but ACH is a very manual process also. So the BC user tells the customer, okay, here's our banking information. Go ahead and ACH us a payment. Well, a bunch of ACH payments come in 20, 30, 40 a day. Well, they get all batched out by your bank, don't they? All at one time, and you get one big batch deposit of ACH. And now you got to sort out who made those payments, who did it come from. There's not much information about each ACH payment that your bank gives you. So it's very difficult for you to figure out who the heck made the payment. So it becomes a very manual process to figure all this out. And then you got to post that manually into Business Central. Well, if you can send a payment link to the customer, either by email or as a link on an attached email to the customer, or have a portal where they can go
Yeah.
to and pay by ACH, it'll automatically post in Business Central that they just paid invoice number, XYZ456 for this dollar amount. And now Business Central is automatically going to post the payment against the invoice,
Yeah.
mark it as paid, send them a receipt. It shows in the cash receipts journal, and it's posted against the general ledger. And it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's all done. And
Yeah.
what is that worth to the company?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
huge from a labor perspective, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
one.
I
And the
agree.
second thing that I'm really excited about, one of our solutions, one of the 120 solutions, provides real-time funding for the Business
Mhm.
Central users. So today, Carol, what happens is when you accept a credit card payment from a customer, you got to wait till that credit card transaction batches out at the end of the day. Okay, at the end of the day. So I take the transaction at 9 in the morning and run the credit card, or the customer pays with their credit card, but it's 9 in the morning. I got to wait till the end of the day when it batch settles, right? Because everything settles out at the
Right.
end of the day as a batch. And then it's going to take 1 or 2 days for that batch to get sent to the bank or to the processor. And then the processor is going to send an ACH payment for the entire batch amount back to your bank. Well, that's already 2 days later. And it's just one lump sum that goes into
Right.
your bank account. And that
Yep.
one lump sum, you now have to break it back out. What are all the transactions in that batch? Hopefully it matches exactly with what you thought you had sent out, in the original batch.
Yes.
But with real-time funding, every single transaction is going to hit the bank account of the Business Central enterprise.
Yeah.
It's going to hit the bank account separately. Each individual transaction will hit the bank account separately, and there's no waiting for that transaction to hit the bank account 2 days later. It's going to hit immediately at 9 in the morning when they process the credit card.
Yeah.
It's going to hit their bank at that time immediately. So there is no other solution out there today that offers this.
No.
And
Yeah.
let's say maybe you don't need the float for 2 days. Maybe you can wait for a day or two for your funding, but you know what? It's going to take away the bank reconciliation process.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
So
that 2 days of waiting to get your cash, right? And then there's the reconciling that.
there's the reconciling that. Yeah. So imagine if you have 1,000 transactions a day, what kind of reconciliation effort that would be.
Mhm.
So here's two very exciting things that we're going to be marketing. Kate's going to be marketing
With
to
her Cheers badge and her payment expert badge.
yeah.
Right. Well, I know you guys said you've been in the channel for a few years now, but how have you gained momentum so quickly?
Again, Carol, you said it a few minutes ago, like we seem to be everywhere. We are on LinkedIn. We are at every single conference that we can attend. We have a very strong community presence. I'm volunteering at as many different conferences as I can. We're speaking at conferences. From the minute we started in this community, we plugged in and we plugged in hard. I remember, have told several people this story, but 2 years ago at Community Summit, I think we knew maybe half a dozen people there. And I had my little iPad with the entire expo floor. We had done research together. We knew the partners, the ISVs, the people that we needed to meet, the connections that we wanted to make. And we went in and just booth to booth, met people, plugged in. It was one of the longest weeks of my life. It was just tons of talking, being memorable. And then we showed up at Directions, a couple of months later, and it was a different story. And I think that's why, because Wade and I have been so diligent at being truly plugged into the community. We go to cities, we meet with partners, we meet with other ISVs. Genuinely, Wade said it, like the more time that we spend with partners, we understand their specific offerings and their clients and those specific needs so that we can tailor our services for them. And again, that goes back to that being able to pivot quickly and move quickly. So it has been 2 years of strong plug-in into the community, and the people and the relationships that we've met.
Yeah.
It's unlike any other place. The sense of community, the giving, the teaching each other, the locking arms with each other. It has just been a joy to be in this community, and we are looking forward to the long haul. Being so present in the community also sends that message to our partners that we are literally here. We are here. We are plugged in. If you have a question, you can find us. Like you can find us in a city near you. Like we are there, physically present. We're always a phone call away. Like Wade said, we have a single point of contact for all of our clients. So yeah, I think that's it. It just is being physically there and I mean, I have a
And
bag packed at all times ready to go.
Uh, I'll also add that, okay, one of our culture principles, Carol, is to always add value, always adding value. And
Mhm.
with the UST education that we talked about, we've had many with our conference every week. We've had many MVPs, Microsoft MVPs, be instructors on the UST education platforms, whether it's Shannon Mullins or Kim Dallafield, AJ Ansari, Andrew Good, Dave
Steve,
Weiser,
yeah.
yeah, Kristen Hosman. I
Yeah.
mean, they've all been a part of the UST education platform. So we're trying
Yeah.
to add value to the community, and
Yeah.
not everybody needs credit card processing services, but
What are you seeing that's driving partners and customers to come talk to you, Wade?
that we're different. When we were at Directions earlier this year, I gave one of the general session talks, and the title was How to Win, be a category of one. So, and the concept of being a category of one is basically to be in a position where you're actually not competing. So, what we do, the combination of everything that we do, our USTPay solution, the UST education, how we use that as to add value to the Microsoft community. I mean, that puts us in a category of one. There's nobody that competes with us in that regard. I mean, there's nobody
Mhm.
that does anywhere
No.
near what we do exactly the way we do. And then the two other things that are more just, I would say, just kind of the usual kind of technical or whatever is number one, freedom of choice, that nobody else gives that type of freedom of choice. Bring your own processor. We have 120 gateways that are built right in there, and you can just turn it on or off according to how you need it. You have immediate redundancy, but we don't care. If you have your own processor, that's fine. That's what you should use. And you need international currencies and this gateway doesn't handle it, well, then you need that gateway. Well, we do have that gateway available, so it's not a problem. Then the second thing is, so this attitude is just very different from anybody else's that does the same service that we do. And then the second element is the service level that, again, going back to our Microsoft expertise and how we do understand our partners and what they need to be successful. And that's how we're going to, and we know this is another culture element of ours, is be a fanatic about response time. So what that means is the partner emails us with a question, we're getting back to them
Yeah.
not in 24 hours. We're getting back to them in minutes. Maybe it's an hour or two, but
Yeah.
it's not like, hey, we'll get back to you tomorrow. No, we're going to get back to you in minutes.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
We have culture fundamentals that we follow at UST, and you even mentioned it. Like, we have a very good grounding and fitting in who we are as a business, and that really, a lot of that comes out of Wade's culture fundamentals and being aligned with those. We also have these fun, compelling sagas, and one of those is to make other people famous. So we love to boost other people in our LinkedIn, in our conversations. We love to push other people forward and to truly make other people famous. That is a part of UST education, and offering thought leaders a space to share their ideas and helping them to carve themselves out as that. And some of the speakers that we've had from the BC space have really, really great ideas and don't always have the platform to share those ideas. So we're happy to provide that.
Awesome.
Can I add one more
Insightful.
thing, Carol, just in
Yeah, of
conclusion?
course.
I just wanted to share a short story. Yesterday, one of the things I do for my community, like local community philanthropy, is I'm on the board of the Northern Virginia Community College Foundation. So Northern Virginia Community College is the community college system around this area where I live.
Sure.
And yesterday I participated in a student mentor, like a networking event where we had like 10 executives, industry executives, and there were about 30 students, information and engineering technology students from Nova Community College. And the hour and a half session was around like different tables, and 5 or 6 of the students with 2 of the mentors. So I was on a table together with Stephen Jolly. He's the data center director for AWS here in the Washington, D.C. area. So he's got, obviously this
Oh,
humongous,
yeah.
massive company, and me, this entrepreneurial company, USTPay, US Transactions Corp. And so we gave our perspectives to our group of 5 students, and then later another group of 5 students came to our table. But the point I'm trying to make, or I want to get to, I guess, I talked a lot about how exciting it is to be in the Microsoft space and the things that we do and the impact that we have. And it really is exciting to be a part of this community. Couldn't be more exciting.
I definitely feel that way too, Wade. And thank you, Kate and Wade, for joining us today. And it was a really interesting conversation about USD Pay and how you help customers and partners with your solution. So, Wade, Kate, do you want to tell how people can reach out to you?
Sure. Feel free to reach out to me directly, Wade Tetsuka, and my email address is my first and last name. So Wade, like Dwayne Wade, the basketball player, W-A, last name Tetsuka. So Wade Tetsuka, all one word, at US for United States, US Trans, Trans Corp, ustranscorp.com.
And I am Kate Coffee Bacon. I am on LinkedIn. You can find me under that name, Kate Coffee Bacon. Email, super simple, kate@ustranscorp.com. Please reach out to me. I really love funny memes. So if you want to send me one of those, I would appreciate it. But please find me on LinkedIn, reach out. We have a fun time on LinkedIn. And you can also find us online, ustranscorp.com/USTPay. We're also on LinkedIn. US Transcorp is on LinkedIn. Follow us there. There's lots of really great pieces of information about our products and our offerings, so you can kind of stay up to speed about some of the new cherries on top that we'll be offering in 2025 that Wade just talked about.
Yeah,
And
exciting.
nobody prohibits helium balloons on your LinkedIn.
That's right. Helium balloons welcome.
All right, friends. Well, thank you for joining on this episode of ISV Talks, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.